All right. Let's check in and see if we are live on Facebook. And yes, we are. Okay, we're there. Great. Excelentes. I'll just be talking here for a minute, Russ. I don't have volume from you, but I'll start talking. So hello everybody. Hello world. Hello folks. Good to see you again. We're working out some technical issues, but this is episode 2 of the Neuro Bros Show.
Hey, should I share to my news for my friends or my news feed?
I'd go to you know what? I don't know the answer on that one. I just shared it to my personal timeline.
So I guess that's a news feed. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, we're here. We're live. We're Neuro Bros Show. Or so Brain Cell One is my my partner in crime here, Mr. Russ Parker. Hello, Russ. What's going on? And my name's Karl Sterling. So if you were with us before here, there you got it, buddy. It got shared. We did our first episode 3 days ago. We had fun. This is a work in progress. So we're looking forward to this. Hi Sandra, how you doing? I owe you a message, by the way. This is a kind of an informal show. This was Russ's idea. So we did episode 1 3 days ago. We're doing episode 2 now. Hello, Laura and Marilena. Yes, great to see everyone. The whole sole purpose, though, is really to connect with and help to educate people. All right, educating about things we can do to improve the quality of our lives. Maybe you're a person with Parkinson's. Maybe you're just somebody who wants to learn techniques, strategies to reduce the chances of falling, improve balance, stability, mobility, movement, and quality of life. This is what we're going to talk about. So, Russ, how you doing?
Doing great.
Good. You got some tricks up your sleeve today, don't you?
We'll go through a whole bunch of different things. We'll, like you said, we're kind of wing it sometimes, but we'll have some good things for you.
Yes, and we have MD, Bangladesh. Yes, we haven't met yet, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you. So, in the true spirit of Brain Cell 1 and Brain Cell 2, you and me, we have a similar interest. We want to help people. We've done a lot together and traveling and met some amazing people like Laura. So in each of these episodes, we'll have a little banter back and forth, demonstrate some things, also have some education. I have some slides today, a very quick review, I promise, because I also know that I can talk. Because I get excited and I want to just go deep on this stuff, but I'll do a very quick review on neuroplasticity and then go into the job of the nervous system very quickly, and then how to wake up the nervous system and the brain, because we can all benefit from that. So I have some slides for you here pretty soon. And by the way, Russ, how do you feel about if anyone has any goals or questions, I should say, or either? They can just put things in the comments here, or if you're on Zoom with us, more people on Facebook Live, but just if you have things you want us to cover today or in the future, we'll do it today if we can, but we'll do it in the future for sure if we're able to. If we, if it's something we can answer. Scott Hoke is with us. Hey, Scott, how you doing, man? He's a hip dude. He was already hip before the hip replacement, and now you're a hipper.
A hipster.
He's a hip. Are you a hipster? See, that's what people called me after my hip replacement.
Scott's voice is amazing on the audio for your book.
Oh yeah. He's the man who read the audio version of my book, and wow, you can see why I had him do it, because I wouldn't be able to do that, even with a really good mic, which I got from Scott. I would not be able to read a book. Hell, I can barely read what I write anyways. So if you have questions, put them in the comments. I think I want to get going with some slides. You ready? All right, cool. All right. Let's see who else we got here. Good. I'm glad you're feeling better, man. I tell you, my sister had her hip replacement. I don't know, maybe a month ago. Uh, and my niece had a bilateral, two hips, same time, replaced. And you're all doing better than I did. I was a baby, man. I was crying. I'm not crying. Why? I mean, I'm a terrible sick person, anyways. I'm not a nice man, and evidently, I seem to have a low tolerance for pain. I thought I had a high tolerance. Uh, anyways, okay. So I'm glad you're feeling better, man. That's really, really good. So let's go. Let's go into this. A little bit of information. Now, you're probably going to see often that I will repeat myself, but it's for good reason. Okay, because we need to keep some things in mind. All right. Since we're primarily focused on talking and educating and learning about Parkinson's disease, let's talk about Parkinson's. So, the main or most immediate concern for a person with PD is falling, because statistically, complications from a fall are the number one cause of mortality. So, we want to not fall. We know that movement will light up our brain. We know that there's stuff going on in the brain with Parkinson's where the brain is affected negatively. All right. So movement lights up the brain. Movement, when you're having fun moving, play, gamifying, that adds to it. Actually, adds to sensory input and brain activity. Doing it outdoors helps with the immune system and sensory input, because now you have the elements. This stuff comes from John Rady, by the way, Harvard Medical School professor. So outdoors, moving outdoors and gamifying and doing it with another person. I guess you could gamify by yourself, but it's way more possibilities open up when you're with somebody and playing or gamifying. A lot of people associate play with being a child. I'm kind of a child, If I wasn't ridiculous, I'd be totally boring. So
Good to be that way.
yeah, I love it. Oh, our friend Steve Keppel was on. Dr. Steve. It's called planned redundancy, Karl. Thank you. And then yesterday, I did say something redundant. So I decided that I'm the president of the Department of Redundancy Department. There you go. Okay, so moving outdoors, gamifying, and doing it barefoot. We're going to get into barefoot in a while, okay? If it's safe. You don't want to go barefoot if it's not safe. If it's not safe, because maybe it's glass or unknown objects you could possibly step on and you could, cut your foot or whatever. You don't want that, but we have a solution for that too, where you can still get the same benefits of stimulation of the plantar skin. That's coming up soon. Music is another one. You can move with music. This, I'm probably going to show this every time because it's so good. The Handbook of Neurologic Music Therapy. It's like no other music therapy book out there because it's completely different. It talks about brain activity as a result of movement and music. And it's amazing. Okay. I get too excited and I start talking for too long. We want to retrain the brain so we can help them move better and reduce falls. Let's just talk real quick now. Neuroplasticity, we talked about it on Monday. Basically, the brain adapts itself to its experiences, right? It has the ability also to reorganize and create new circuitry and pathways to adapt as needed. We have an area called the substantia nigra, which is still functioning in the person with Parkinson's. You can, depends upon the research, according to Dr. Shumei Wong at Hershey, Penn State, she says you can lose about half the brain cells can die in the substantia nigra before you exhibit an actual motor symptom. I've actually heard it could be even 60% from other researchers. Bottom line is, you can lose a lot of brain cells before you have a motor symptom. Other symptoms will probably come first, though. Stuff will go over time. So the brain can use its neuroplastic ability. It can outsource. Researchers believe it's primarily to the cerebellum and maybe frontal area, but you know what? It's kind of irrelevant. It doesn't matter. We just know that it can. For the sake of what we do, it doesn't matter where the outsourcing goes and where the new circuits happen, just knowing that they can happen. We talked about a Monday. Anytime you learn a new thing, riding a bike, drive a car, learn a language, just whatever, learn to walk and talk at the same time, walk and turn your head, or play catch with somebody at the same time you're moving, jump through an agility ladder and count backwards from 97 by nines, or just something random while you're playing catch. All these things are ways of, when you get good at it, it means your circuitry has developed enough so you're good at it, or you're better at it because you did it enough. But the important thing to know is that you don't just do stuff and have it happen magically and then all of a sudden you're better. We want to go back to Monday and review this real quick. How we age plays a role in how much neuroplasticity we can take advantage of, or how we will take advantage of it. We want to actually, we have the ability to maximize neuroplastic potential, but depending upon how old we are, basically it's you're either over 25 or you're under 25. That's what science says. So a young child can merely be exposed to something like 2 or 3 languages, and they're just going to pick it up. It's just going to be a thing. They don't really even have to work at it. The brain will customize to its experiences. However, when you're over 25, and according to Dr. John Rady and Dale Bredesen, the author of that amazing book, The End of Alzheimer's, you can change your brain till the day you die. All right. But it's different. It's a 2-step process. Because you're already kind of wired up, right? You're wired up now. So sometimes unlearning something is tough, but learning something might be the better way to go, to just get really good at doing something better, but a different way, like movement. We know that we can direct our attention. If I say, how do your feet feel right now? Connect it to the shoe or the floor. Well, you just took your brain and you just focused on your foot. You probably weren't doing that 15 seconds ago. So we can direct it to anything that we do. And we direct the changes in our brain by implementing a couple of steps. All right, step 1, extreme focus. So I'm going over this in the beginning because I want to make sure, if you weren't here Monday, by the way, if you go to either my personal Facebook or the Neuro Bros Show group page, you'll see a link to the playlist, because as of today, we'll have an actual playlist because we'll have 2 episodes. I'll keep adding to that. It's a YouTube playlist. Episode 1, 2, 3, whatever. We'll go in order. So we need to focus, direct our attention. I won't go through this because it'd take me too long. Chemicals are released, though, when you're exerting effort or when you're in a learning event. Okay, and it might cause a feeling of strain. Well, that's good, though. The thing is you're directing your attention. You also want to direct the attention in this way, thinking, you know what? I know I feel strained. I kind of would rather just not do this. I want to stop. But if you can keep going, take little breaks, chunk these things, do a minute here, do 2 minutes, do 5 minutes, do whatever it is. Depends on what it is, right? 30 seconds maybe if you're doing some really complicated multi-stacked layered task, like 3 things at the same time. Do it for 30, 60 seconds, whatever it is, then take a break. The bottom line is, though, maybe you need to do it another 3 or 4 times during your session or your workout, and you're feeling that agitation. Well, that's the noradrenaline. But you got acetylcholine that's also being released at the place where these synaptic firing patterns are occurring to connect brain cells together. So if we can attach reward to the effort, it's going to make it a lot better. I don't ever feel like really exercising. It's true, except for mountain biking. Actually, I went sledding yesterday. It was great. I kind of didn't want to go, but I wanted to go. Like the idea of going, I thought would be better than going. But when I got there and did it, doing it was equally as good as actually thinking about it. And I got a workout in. That hill is big, climbing up that hill. So I was thinking, this is me getting better. This is a reward I attach to the agitation of staying on the sled on the way down, because it was very bumpy and I was flying fast. And the effort of walking up the hill, this is me getting better burning calories, because I gained 10 pounds in the past 3 months because I've been sedentary because of COVID, having COVID and just no energy. I want to get rid of this 10 pounds. It's not that much to do, and I'll do it. But I have to attach reward to the effort. All right. So step 1 is chunk focus, hyper focus during any learning event or anything you're doing. Hyper focus, be here and now. They're actually here and now brain circuitry. So you're in the moment. You just have to learn to use them. Stay focused for however long you can, then take a break. Step 2 is, this is where the actual magic happens. The pathways are best formed, the new circuitry that helps you to do something better, to learn something, and to get good at something. This happens during sleep. The best form of strength during sleep or sleep-like state could be, I'm a big advocate of sleep, and I'm very good at it. So I don't know. I think I have a few brain cells working, but sleep is the key. This is where the magic happens. Now, if you weren't hyper focusing and chunking things, does this mean that new patterns aren't being, let's say, created? New circuits are they not being created because you didn't focus, yet you're still doing the exercise? No, it doesn't mean that. It means that it's happening. But if you can direct your attention, really focus, like Russ was talking the other day about mindful movement, mindful arm swing, mindful trunk rotation, hip rotation, mindful stride length during gait, you're going to do better. You will have more synaptic firing patterns, and these new circuits will wire better together. Okay, so sleep, though, is where the magic happens, and they actually do they form during sleep. Okay, your nervous system, 2 major branches. We have central, we have peripheral. Conceptually, these link the brain with the body, and the body back, and all of its organs back with the brain. And it's really one continuous loop, right? There's no beginning and there's no end. Your brain and your nervous system are all a thing together. Do you know, on a side note, that the eyes are actually brain? They're not even just connected to the brain. They are the brain. If you watch Andrew Huberman, Stanford, he explains all this. Really interesting. And I've had cornea transplants. I was talking with my ophthalmologist. I'll see him tomorrow too to get the stitches out of this eye. But he said, "Oh yeah, eyes are formed in the brain in embryonic development. They're part of the brain, so they stick out because there's not enough room." Kind of cool, huh? Sensation. So we have different senses of the job of the nervous system. This comes direct from Stanford, by the way, from their research. So I'm really abbreviating their description of what the nervous system's job is. We have 5 steps: sensation through our senses, perception, the extent which, something's in the way here. I can't see this. Okay. Which any one or more of these sensations become conscious, or feet on the floor, or your rear end on the seat if you're sitting. Okay, so you can direct your attention. Feelings are emotions, and feelings are like emotions, right? And feelings that are involved in, the brain and the body, and this designed us to move us towards a particular end goals. These feelings, we have thoughts. It's so cool. We have the power of free will, and we can choose what we want to think about. Yeah, I mean, we can. Easier said than done. The more you practice it, the better it gets, though. Generally speaking, I've been clinically depressed before too, so I also know that it's definitely easier said than done. All right, so then we have thoughts. It's like a sense of what our brain is doing all the time. This really involves creating meaning out of our perceptions. It involves memory, and this all leads to our actions and behaviors. What we want is let's take just one really simple step here. We just want in this one of our goals is to have people move better. So when you first learn something like riding a bicycle, you're not good. You just not, when you first walk, you're not good either. I mean, you get good pretty quickly, but you're in the process of learning. So it's a learned behavior. But if I get up and walk now to go get a cup of coffee downstairs, I don't have to think about every step I take, thankfully, because if I did, I wouldn't be able to get anything else done. If I had to think about everything I do, everything I say. I mean, yes, I do say what I say and I think a lot about it, but a lot of it's reflexive because I just know what I'm going to say. I'm just trying to get better at articulating how I present things so I can maybe make more sense to people. All right. So what we want riding the bike, we want walking, we want our movements and our so much of what we do, we want it to be a reflexive behavior. So you don't have to think about it. Okay. So, oh, that was for a webinar. So never mind. Well, I can say it now though, at the bottom, deliberate behaviors. Yeah, this is our primary focus for this whole series, however long it lasts. We'll always be talking about deliberate movements. Okay, so we already said extreme focus and chunking and sleep. Those are the two steps of maximizing neuroplasticity. All right. I just want to talk real quickly. These are kind of like buzzwords happening these days, but they're very relevant. Interoception is paying attention to and being mindful of how we feel within the confines of our own skin, direct from Stanford. I didn't put a credit of who said that, but that's not me. I didn't make anything up. I'm not smart enough to do that. Exteroception is our perception and awareness of what's happening in the outside world, outside of our bodies. A couple examples for you. Well, but first, the nervous system's job is to take the inner world and match it to the demands of the outer world. So think about that in terms of movement. What if the circumstances you're in, the location you're in, or something creates a challenge in moving? Okay, maybe objects here and there, increasing the likelihood of falling. So your fall risk of falling goes up. Well, exteroception is very important, and so is interoception, because you need to be aware of how you're feeling when you're moving around these things. You need to be aware of the things that you're around, and the nervous system has to match these two worlds together. Okay, so that you get from A to B, or from point not point A, from point A to not point A. I'm stealing that from Russ, who took it from Andy, who we love, is to get ourselves there safely. All right. Here's a couple examples. We want to sharpen the nervous system and be better at matching these two worlds, the inner and the outer. In interoception, when we fall asleep, you're pretty much, it's just you with you, and that's it. You're really not aware of anything going on outside. I mean, I've slept through, well, not tornadoes, but tornado-like stuff. I didn't know what's going on. I didn't hear the thunder. I didn't see the lightning. It's complete lack of exteroception. But that's pretty much only when we sleep. Here's another example. This has happened to me many times. And one time in particular, I was in the Mexico City airport a few years ago. I'm trying to catch this plane, and everything was all messed up. The display, which gate it was. When I got to the gate, he said, no, we switched gates, but it's just not on the thing yet. Go run over there. I run over there, and they say, no, it's back over at the first one. I said, no, they said it's over here. Turns out it wasn't in either one. It was somewhere else, and I missed the flight. So, probably my fault. But I'm in the airport. I'm running to reach the plane, and I'm late. And I'm like, wait, please wait. Because, well, during this time, my heart's beating faster. I'm breathing harder. I'm sweating, and I'm not even aware of any of that because I was completely focused on getting on that plane. So it was complete exteroception until I missed it, sat down, and was really upset because I just wanted to go home. So, that's an example of exteroception. I was completely focused on everything except for me, or actually only on the plane. All right. I just wanted to make the plane. All right. So most of the time we're in the middle of extero and intero and going back back and forth between the two worlds. And again, we want to manage this by having the nervous system learn and change as it needs. So the nervous system, I can go through this fast. I'm really familiar with this. It works collaboratively with other systems, musculoskeletal, to help you, make you move. I mean, that's just one example of what it does. If things don't fire together in a certain order, and then with certain timing, the movement doesn't look right. So when we train, it's okay to train for strength and big muscles. Maybe I have nothing against that. But what would be really important if you're having trouble moving is to train for optimal firing. This just involves new brain circuitry that is created through doing the stuff that we're going to share with you over time. All right. New neural pathways.
I'd like to just jump in for a second. And
yeah,
one of the things we want to do in this show is try to sometimes dispel certain myths or go over things that you might think are intuitive. You may be thinking one way, but really the way to address the problem is almost the opposite. So this whole idea of understanding what's going on inside your body and the outside environment, that education that you'll get will hopefully make you make the right decisions, so your body could adapt in a positive way. And I'll give a few more examples. I just wanted to make that comment, though.
No, I'm really glad you did.
Things aren't always what they seem, I guess, is what I'm saying, and there's certain think outside the box type of things that could help you get through certain barriers and problems.
Absolutely. Another thing too is I'm really guilty of complicating things. The more and more that I read things, more and more that I talk with people, especially experts, I always want to understand the geeky, nerdy stuff like this. And I know a lot of other people like it too, but for some people it's just too much. So I don't want to ever overwhelm anybody. That's why we're almost to the last slide, but is just really reiterating how important it is, what the nervous system is supposed to do. I mean, we're only touching a tiny bit of what it really does, but in regards to movement, you have kind of an outline with some ideas of what it should do. Well, you would just train it. Just train it. Doesn't, not everyone's going to make progress the same way, even on this from session to session, good days, bad days, whatever, but consistency is a key. The other words that come up, there are two words, and it's the new thing I'm putting in my email signature is keep moving. That might be all we need to say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, challenge yourself. Absolutely. But keep moving at least. There's an organism, I think, called the sea squirt. If I said this Monday, please stop me. It's a water creature, right? It goes across the ocean. It never has a childhood or an infancy. I mean, not like fish do, I guess, but I mean, it just starts swimming and it goes across the ocean. And what keeps it alive is the movement, and it'll find food and it'll eat the food. And this thing is cybernetically wired to land in a certain area of northeast coast of Africa or something like that. A very small area, but it goes right there. It just knows. I don't know if it's like magnetic pulling stuff, because some creatures have this magnetism drives them to where they need to go. We don't have that as humans, but it gets there, it attaches itself to a rock, and it starts to disintegrate, because that's the last time it moved, was right before it attached to the rock. Its nervous system is in great shape as soon as it sits down on the rock, but now it waits for the food to be brought to it by the water, the movement. And so the water goes up against this creature, but eventually it just dies, and the water keeps it alive for a while, and it gets some food, but it's done. It's kind of like, what you said the other day, a body in motion tends to stay in motion, a body at rest tends to stay at rest. If you're not in motion, get in motion, because you need to keep moving. All right, so we want to talk a little bit about barefoot. Let's go into this real quick. The plantar skin, first starting point is, let's start bottom up. We have bottom up training, we have top down training. when we talk about cognition and all that kind of stuff and thinking during movement, you're doing a lot of top-down stuff because you're mindful movement, using your brain to do things in a better way, more efficient way. But also the bottom up is really important because we can start with the most sensory, densely populated skin on the body, which is generally for most people the plantar skin, loaded with all kinds of sensory and mechanoreceptors, which tend to go to sleep. They're not like dead, but when you wear shoes and socks all the time for decades, you're not getting as much sensory input. So you take off your shoes and just go barefoot around your house. That's a good thing because immediately your brain gets a signal and it increases your proprioceptive awareness. You ever step on a little tiny pebble? Well, you know it's there, don't you? Yeah, that's called input, baby. So let's just another couple of goals is, again, to have this reflexive stability. All right, mindfulness top down is good, thinking, using the brain, waking up the nervous system, and keep doing it every day, even if you're walking around barefoot for just a few minutes. That's going to be helpful. Russ has some things he's going to show you too today. And we want to be able to anticipate things better too. I could go too deep, so let me just stop by saying that's all for now. I have these insoles. They're called Naboso insoles. They're created by Dr. Emily Splickle, I taught for her for a few years, and I'm trying to figure out.
I'm as far as those insoles go, by the way, they had helped me for a while, and other people have made this comment too, that they help for a while and then sometimes they don't work as well. So I learned over the last few years, I learned different ways of using them to maximize it. So one of the tips that I wasn't using at first was to cycle between using them and not using them, or using one texture and then using another one. And that sort of kind of keeps your nervous system kind of from getting used to one way. So I figured that out recently. So there's all you people out there who are, in addition to Parkinson's, plantar fasciitis, and neuropathy and things like that, those textured insoles might very well help you. And we've seen some pretty great examples of.
Not everyone responds the same. Sometimes people put them in and they don't really. They feel them, but they don't feel a difference in movement. And sometimes we don't see a difference in movement. But I'd say, and I've used them a lot with people all around, I got to say like 90% of the time or so, we see some type of improvement right away. And we don't even tell them that they probably move better. We don't want them to like live into it. We just want to see what happens organically. And, they can also help with circulation, return of venous blood back to the heart. And the neurology world loves that because circulation can be a real issue for some people because of other health problems, especially with diabetes being so prominent these days. So I hope that is helpful, a little bit of information. What's next, Russ? I know you got some things you're thinking about.
One thing, I think I like the way this is heading, what we're doing now, because you mentioned, a little back and forth banter, and maybe I will have time to get into some barefoot stuff and stimulation and things like that. But I just wanted to make some comments on I made some notes, while you were talking, just to add to what you said. First of all, you said like just get moving, and you're talking about gamifying and music and the importance of that. And I have a friend, you know him, Gavin Mogan. You know Gavin, right?
Yeah. I haven't met him yet, but I know
he's a personal trainer himself, a person with PD, and his big thing is sports movement. Mm-hmm. And I learned some valuable lessons from Gavin. He's a great guy, and he's if you ever see any of his YouTube videos, they're very, very inspiring. He's very insightful. But yes. His particular training, like he does a lot. He does a lot of basketball shooting. He's a great 3-point shooter. He could like drill. He could get in a zone and just drill.
Wow.
Ton of three pointers in a row. And then in baseball, he'll hit it off a tee, lefty and righty. Reactive, he'll throw against the wall and do ground balls, which is great for fall prevention. But the point I want to make is a couple of them, and I said I learned some good lessons from this. Is one of the things I always want to try to remember to do when I'm assessing a client. And you talking about getting geeky too, and this goes to this goes to that too. So one of the things I want to try to always remember to do when I talk to a client is, what are your interests? What do you like to do? That's just as important as if their neck is forward or they have some other physical problem, they're shuffle walking or whatever. Because Carl was talking about getting geeky and these complicated multitasking things we do. If they could do it through dancing or playing basketball or things like that, which have move you, those kind of things move you in all different directions. In many cases, you have to react. A lot of those things have a lot of the components, and we could always add, for fun, if you want, we could add, an additional cognitive thing, while they're doing a sports movement, they could recite some things, get their brain a little more fired up. But the point I guess I'm trying to make is that there's things you enjoy, keep doing it. If you can't do it, do something related and work your way up, because that's really important. And also, Gavin always talks about how it's almost like when you're doing something like that, it's almost like you could equate it to dancing, even though you're not necessarily dancing. You're getting in a rhythm. And there's something that really feels good about that when you're doing something you enjoy and you kind of just get into the moment and you're focused on it. And
I just got to jump in 1 second too. I'm sure you know this, but if you don't know Gavin, he has a lawn mowing service business he owns, and he only hires people with Parkinson's to work for him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He'll go out and mow lawns all day. His people go out and they mow, and they're keeping moving. It's so cool. Really cool. Yeah. And he's in Texas, so they need their lawns mowed more than here in New York, where there's a foot of snow right now.
Yeah, I know a few people out in Texas, so I'll have to make a trip out there one day and go out and meet Gavin in person. And also related to that, another, I was talked about myths and misconceptions. One of the common things people do is they get on Facebook groups and they start communicating with people with Parkinson's, when they're first diagnosed, to try to get information. And a lot of what they see sometimes is specialized programs for people with Parkinson's. And again, this is the area that, Karl and I have a lot of expertise in. But that doesn't mean there's definitely a lot of benefit from doing other things that may, some program or thing that has nothing to do with Parkinson's. And you're seeing that a lot more. People taking martial arts classes and dance classes, Silver Sneakers, which is a program for seniors, playing pickleball. There's all sorts of programs that your gym, your YMCA, or community, or in your town community recreation program. There's all sorts of things that you could do that you don't necessarily have to be in a Parkinson's specific program. And actually, if you get into some of these programs and you tell an instructor that you have Parkinson's, a lot of times they find it's a learning experience for them. They find it fascinating, and they'll learn to adapt to you as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good points there. I keep learning over time that I tend to overcomplicate things, and that includes in the way I deliver information and teach too. I mean, I look at the book that I wrote. I love the book. I think it has a lot of relevant information, right? But I put everything I had into that. But and you should buy it for sure.
That's great stuff.
But there's a lot in there. Anything that comes out though after this, and I'm almost done with book 2, it's a lot less words, a lot less, and getting to the point more quickly in a less complicated manner. And the reason I said that is because now I'm surmising, I'm assuming something. And are you saying, Russ, in these groups where there are these specific programs, are people like overwhelmed with this? Like it's too much, or they don't like it, or they like it, or
Oh, you mean in
are they
Parkinson's
overwhelmed?
program?
Like, is it too complicated sometimes? And it's, oh man, how does that, I know that here with a couple programs that have come and gone, it was just too much for people as far as, they just want to go in and have fun and move. They don't really want to learn anything.
Yeah, I've witnessed a lot of different, it depends on a person's personality, but I've witnessed a lot of different reactions to classes. And, I had one client, for instance, he was only doing training with me once a week, which is not enough. Mm-hmm. So, personal training can get expensive. So that could have been the reason. So I wanted to coach him, get involved in group type things. And he went to visit a rock steady boxing class. And just by the stroke of luck, everybody in the class where he went to observe, everybody in the class was advanced, pretty much at an advanced Parkinson's stage. So he got very down about it. So sometimes it's just a stroke, your observation is just, that could have been, like a one-off kind of thing, but he kind of put this in his mind. And I wanted to, then there was a particular program I knew about that I wanted to, visit a different location. He already had it set in his mind that he didn't want to do this. But you also said move different, and that's another great thing too. Not only move different, but try to, this is the thing I talk about with my exercise snacking, just try to take everyday things and make them an exercise. And certain things are better than others. Like one thing you do in life sometimes is getting up and down from the floor. That's just something you do in life, but that is a great full body exercise. I mean, you start from being down on the floor, say you're all the way in a lying down position. You got to get up from that position using your arms, your core, and you're going to be using your legs. You're going to be repositioning yourself in different ways using all sorts of muscles. So in the category of, yes, that's an exercise, there's things that you do that could be very good exercises, weeding in the garden and all sorts of things. You can find things around the house that you could just use as exercise equipment, which like one of the things I do is I do a bottle shake. I find a bottle that's or a container that's like a quart sizes, like a liter or a quart or whatever. This could light up your nervous system pretty good, just like shaking a bottle.
Absolutely.
Do this 100 times.
It's especially fun if you do it with a bottle of seltzer water and then take the top right off.
Yeah. Those are seltzer water bottles, but they're filled with water.
And then you get to crawl around and clean it up. There's a good exexercise. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to comment here. Kabugo Hannington is watching. Welcome, Kabugo. Oh. I'm standing up because I've been doing too much sitting during a lot of these things. So, thank you. Yeah, the book. Okay, Kabugo, I got your messages this morning, and I was just kind of in a hurry to do a few things, and I did not respond, but I will respond. I'm going to get you more books. I'm going to send them out by tomorrow. So I just need your address, but we'll talk privately. All right. Yeah. The shaking the bottle thing it reminds me of tall flaps or arm sprints, because you do it for a minute or half a minute, and all of a sudden you feel different because your heart rate is higher. It's cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you get your heart rate up. Yeah, and we always traditionally do the arm sprints in the workshops, but there's lots of things, flapping around a towel, and a lot of body weight exercises you could just do with your legs with no equipment. Yes. So do you want to talk? We started talking about gait hacks. So maybe a little bit of barefoot, maybe some demonstration on the barefoot and general concepts, but maybe it might carry over into other sessions. And by the way, I just yesterday I just bought Barefoot Strong. I haven't read it yet.
Oh, the book.
Dr. Emily's book. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's it's a very good book. It's very succinct and to the point. Very nicely written.
She's doing a series now, a video series with a group called Gait Happens. She's partnering with
Oh, okay.
partnering with them. So that looks interesting.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I would say if uh, where I am right now, physically, it would be very difficult to show anything. That's the one drawback of my new studio here. Got to work on it. But did you want to go through a
Yeah.
few of that stuff?
Yeah.
So I'm going to run out for a minute to grab something. I'll be back because I want to show something on the screen. But once you take
I'll talk
over,
about stimulating the skin and
yeah,
footwear and that whole thing you were talking about with the sensing the ground and everything. I'll talk about all that.
Oh,
Okay.
good. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to make you big. There you go, senor. And I'll be right back.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about barefoot, the importance of the importance of your feet. The feet are a very important component, as Karl said, working from the ground, a very important component of movement. There's how many bones in the feet? 26 bones. There's 30 joints, more than 100 muscles and tendons in the foot. So one of the misconceptions or things I want to talk about, or one of the problems that people with Parkinson's run into with the foot is Parkinson's is a brain and neurological disorder. So your central nervous system is affected. So a lot of times you lose the sensitivity in the bottom of your foot, on the plantar skin of your foot. So what that kind of makes it more difficult to walk, because as you start to walk, you want to try to toe off and push off with your foot, and you just don't have the reaction to the ground there because the nerves on the bottom of your foot just aren't firing right. So there's a few things that you could do about that, and there's a few things you should learn about certain habits. There's a lot of techniques and treatments that go along with the foot that sometimes could work against you. Too much cushioning, too much support, all those things, the wrong shoes, all those things could be a detriment as far as your foot health and helping your foot contribute to good gait. So a lot of barefoot advocates, what they say is if you wear shoes that are too cushiony, they call them foot coffins, because what happens is you have all this cushioning. So now we've talked about the importance of getting in touch with your feet with the ground, and now we put this big cushion in between your feet and the ground. You're not sensing the ground at all, even with the most minimalist shoes. You still have something between you and the ground. So if you can, when you're training or doing exercises, or just walking around the house, try to do it in bare feet. I'm going to describe some techniques on how you should position your feet. I'm taking my shoes off now because I'm going to practice what I preach. I do have minimalist shoes on. These shoes are very, very flat. And some people might also say, and very flexible, so there's really not any support, but I'm using my muscles can move and they'll provide the support. What was I going to say? So so it's important, and I actually just immediately felt the difference. I'm in bare feet now, and I feel the ground more. So I'm going to teach you some exercises and some concepts So there's this idea of being in touch with the ground and how your feet contribute to the whole movement that is walking. So one thing you could do is actually, I'll talk about stimulating the nervous system. Because one thing you could do is you could use a textured surface, like you could walk on a gravelly or stony type, bumpy type of surface, or they make mats that are like that. I have we talked about the Nuboso insoles. They also make a mat that's textured. You can see the little bumps there. Okay, so that's a mat that I use sometimes to do exercises, and I'll probably use that when I show you the couple of exercises. There's textured insoles. These are the Nuboso insoles, NABOSO, and there's 3 different textures. The most stimulative one sometimes works best for people with Parkinson's, but I switch back and forth between that. That one's very abrasive. You have to use them just like a little bit at a time. But I switch back and forth between not using them at all and using a couple of different textures. And the other thing you could use is vibration. And I do that in a couple of ways. You could use a vibrating like massager. I have this hypersphere vibrating ball. So I'm doing this part first because it kind of wakes things up. So you could either turn the ball on or like I said, if you have some sort of vibrating massager, and just go on the bottom of your foot. Or you could put this down on a mat and stand up and hold on to something, and you can put it down on the ground. I need a mat. Use a mat. We can put in the comments the name of this company that makes this. Hypersphere is the name of the product, and Hyper Ice is the company, and they make several products. That feels good. This vibrating ball feels good on the neck too, and it could also help people with tremors temporarily. So if you have tremors, I'm jumping to the hands now, but you also have 2 parts of your body, your hand and your feet. The palmar's skin is very sensitive. So we've had cases where in a workshop we see somebody who looks like they have a significant tremor, give them the ball, and they hold the ball for a while, and the tremor calms down a lot, practically goes away. And it's temporary, but temporary is good for, if you're about to do something, and if you do something like this and it holds for a half hour, and that's what you need. If you need to be performing a little bit better for a short period of time, it's still better than nothing. So then I got my feet stimulated with vibration. I could do it further by either putting on a pair of shoes with the textured insoles, or walking on a textured surface. I'm not going to go over that. But I'm going to do something called an exercise called short foot. And there's also something called foot to core sequencing. So this is where you're starting to make that contact with the ground. And it's sort of an integrated movement where the muscles from foot up to your core are sort of sequencing to generate movement. So I had mentioned minimalist shoes, and one thing people might say, the flat shoes. Oh, I have a high arch. I need arch support. But it gets a little complicated sometimes. Sometimes the exercises that benefit certain conditions like plantar fasciitis and things like that, sometimes they also aggravate it. So if something is, aggravating you, like going barefoot or minimalist shoes or whatever, you could try to work your way into it a little at a time, or maybe the vibration will help, massage or things like that. The other thing about footwear also is that you want your footwear to be the shape of your foot. You don't want your foot to change to the shape of your footwear. So sorry, ladies, I know you have, there's a lot of these shoes that, you don't want to get a triangle foot, but that's, the shape of the shoe where they go in so tight. Of course, we're just, going out and socially and things like that is good, but like wearing shoes like that constantly aren't a good thing. And you want to treat your foot well. It's your first point of contact on the ground. When you're walking, you could get these toe separators that you could put on your feet, and they're very therapeutic. They keep your toes spread apart, and after you wear them for a little while, and then you take them off, your feet feel good. So I'm going to show you the short foot exercise now. Make sure I get down to my feet. So what you're going to do is you're going to have one foot in front of the other. So you're going to put one foot in front. And maybe I'll come up close to the camera and kind of demonstrate this with my hands, pretending my hand is the foot, because you may not be able to see this, but right here. So you have one foot in front. Try to splay your toes out as much as you can. Push them down into the ground. Okay, and then you're going to try and push your toes down into the ground, but not really crunching them like this. It's more pressing them down into the ground. And watch the arch in your foot. If you do that, you should see the arch pick up a little bit. So you're pressing your toes into the ground. The next thing I want you to do is try and do that again. And as you're doing it, we want to try to get this foot to core sequencing going. So you're going to do, if you know the exercises, like Kegel exercise, what you want to try to do is try to contract the muscles up in this groin area, like the muscles that first contract the muscles that stop you from peeing. And then after that, contract the muscles that stop you from pooping. If you could do that. So you're going to push down into the ground. Do that like Kegel type exercise to stop you, the one that stops you from peeing, and then try to clench in the back in your buttocks areas. And this is what happens when you're, I'm going to keep it down here. This is what happens when you're pushing off. It just happens so fast you don't know it, but it's something you might need to train. So when you're pushing off, it's happening so fast you don't really know it. But another exercise you could do is you could practice this push off. So you're just basically stepping back and pushing. I'm actually, in this case, I'm actually working on it on the back foot. And you're pushing. So that's one way to stimulate your feet. These techniques are, I've used them successfully with people. I have one client who has PSP, which is an aggressive form of Parkinsonism. I did a lot of these things with them, the foot vibration, the textured insoles, the short foot, and then one additional exercise that I'll show you is, I forgot the name of this. I don't know if this is part of the rigid lever. Excuse me while I'm bending over here I'm getting a ball. You could use a lacrosse ball. I have this medium-sized ball, a little bit larger than a lacrosse ball, but this really helps kind of activate that foot to core sequencing as well. So what you do is you're going to be squeezing, you're going to be putting the ball down by your two ankles, and you're going to, as you're going up, you're squeezing the ball. You'll feel your calves contracting, and that squeezing action also is going to use hip musculature too. So again, your hips are really part of your core. There's something called the lumbo-pelvic hip complex. So your core is here, but this is in the middle of your body. So that's another very important part. It's another important part of your body that relates to movement. So the feet is where it all starts at the bottom But the hips are very important as well. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit here, but it's kind of related. I'm also gonna, if I have time, talking mostly about gait, but I'll jump into the feet and how it relates to balance too. So another part of gait is distribution of weight on your feet and weight exchange. So there's exercises you could do to practice weight exchange. One would just be maybe just rocking back and forth. I was showing the one going forward and back, just going back and forth. And I have a dance thing we could do with this too. But just getting familiar with how it feels as you're exchanging weight and pushing off. And another important thing, now this is related to balance, is that you want to have a good equal distribution of weight when you're just standing or doing a balance exercise on one foot. And this is what's called the tripod. So the tripod is 3 points on the bottom of your foot. So point one is right below the big toe on the ball of your foot. And then another area on the other side of your bottom of your foot by your pinky, and then the heel. So when you're doing a balance exercise, and you get up on one foot and you feel that nice equal distribution, few things are happening. Is you're creating a good posture and balance. Also, that equal distribution that you're getting will help encourage a nice arch in your foot. And if you add additional movement as you're standing on one foot, like the other foot in the air, you're moving it out. It's stabilization exercise, whether it's a core exercise or in this case the foot. If you add other movement to it, it creates additional challenge. So now, when I have one foot in the air, so this is my left foot to you, it's on the right side, but the one that's standing, as I'm moving this other foot, I'm creating a challenge for that balance foot. So it's causing me to use those muscles that is going to stabilize the foot and keep it in that tripod position. And then if you wanted to make this balance exercise, this is called dynamic balance, when you're moving something, as opposed to just standing on one foot. You want to make it more difficult, the next level would be going out to the side. Put your hands on your hip. And the third level would be going off diagonally to the back. So there's something in human movement science called the kinetic checkpoints. Your ankles, your knees, your hips, your shoulders, and your head, neck area. So we talked about the feet and the hips. So a lot of times when you're having pain, sometimes the problem is not where you're feeling the pain. So the knee is between the foot and the hip. If you have instability in your hip, it may affect your feet because your whole leg's going to wobble. It may affect your knee. If you have instability in your ankle area, it may affect your knee, may affect your hip because your hip's always wobbling and it might irritate it. So that's something important to know. And so it's another important reason why those two areas in particular are very important, to have strong glutes, which are related to the hips, and have good ankle dorsiflexion, which dorsiflexion is the bending of your ankle, not the opposite of going tippy toe. So tippy toe, when going up on your tippy toes, is plantar flexion, but dorsiflexion is if you're flexing the foot up this way, you're bringing your toes toward your knee.
So Russ.
So Carl, you stepped away. I just did stimulating. Okay.
I was watching you.
Okay. So I just want to give you.
I took my phone around with me and I got ready for my noon appointment. So I'm going to actually go see real people today and work with a couple who I work with. I'm so excited. A real person I'm going to see. I do the double mask thing and show my negative COVID test and all that. Really nice job on that too. I love how you explained everything. Really, really. And it's so important, I was talking on Tuesday morning, I think. Yeah. With James Earls. Do you remember James?
Yeah, I have to watch that video because that's another book I haven't gotten, is Born to Walk. Okay. That's the next one I'm going to read.
Yeah. So Born to Walk, I think there's a new edition out. So you'd want to get the most up to date with the. But I have the first one. I love this book. I got it at that conference you and I were at, Barefoot Summit in New York.
Yeah.
And James was talking, and I'm only saying this because I want to reiterate something. You know how important foot health is. Foot posture. When you're walking and your feet are turned out and your foot is collapsed and your arch is flat, there's nothing wrong with you as a human. There's just something wrong with your foot. In other words, I'm not judging. I'm just saying that foot posture is so important. And, you know, I've had a few people. When I met Dr. Emily the first time, it was for an interview. Brent Burkbus told me about her because he was my first interview for the interview series like 7 or 8 years ago. And then I said, before I leave here, I need 2 names. He gave me Emily and then Perry Nicholson. So I met up with both of them in the following 2 weeks. I was a nervous wreck when I met her because if you see this, Dr. Emily, it's just because I was just nervous because I'm always nervous when I meet new people back then. And you know so much. She knows so much. And when I heard what she had to say about feet, gait, foot posture, barefoot stimulation, I mean, I had to know everything. I went and became a master instructor of hers in less than a year. And I started teaching. And the stuff is so good. But it's so relevant about the health of the feet. And this is what James Earl was saying is he has a new book coming out in November, I think he said, called Understanding the Human Foot.
Oh, great.
So that should be really interesting. And yeah, if you search through my page, Facebook page, you'll see James Earl's posted on there somewhere like 2 days ago. And it's really, really interesting how important the foot is to our overall like health, which really leads to, I mean, movement, but leads to health too. If your feet are messed up and you can't move well, your health may suffer because of it. It's possible, right? So, and there, foot posture, like you said, it's the foot is the first contact. It's our only contact with the ground, really. We're bipedal, we walk. So we need to keep that foot healthy. Foot posture, biomechanics need to be working right. Things can change over time. I've had people with flat arches go to arches by doing short foot every day for months. This takes months.
Yeah.
But we can build an arch in our foot. Bunions are a different story. If you got a bunion, you're going to have to direct message me and then I'll hook you up with Dr. Emily. Mm-hmm. But, a small bunion, sometimes you can stop the progression of it. That's a whole different episode. And that's not my area of expertise. Bottom line is foot biomechanics, so important. And yeah, that foot tripod is beautiful. Distributing weight between the ball of the foot, pinky toe, ball, if you will, and heel.
And practicing splaying out the toes too, or lifting one toe up at a time.
I saw that. That's really so important.
Clenching marbles in your toes and picking the marbles up with your toes and putting them into
good idea.
Put the marbles on a towel and pick them up with your toes and then put them into a container. And then
that's
back out, do the other foot, or crunching a towel.
Beautiful.
Those are great for your feet too. I think we'll stay on this, just the feet and the other stuff you covered, and then we'll do balance and posture another time. I kind of crossed over into balance and posture when I was talking about the tripod and everything, but it's a big topic. There's dynamic balance, a whole bunch of stuff. One other thing I wanted to add back to when we were talking about, just moving and interoception and exteroception and everything. Again, with the sports movements, there's a topic, that we'll maybe cover more in detail in the future too, is fascia.
Yeah.
And fascia really is just like a connective tissue that covers like all your muscles.
Mm-hmm.
And the science of fascia's contribution to movement is relatively recent, right, Karl? I mean, there's some new things. They realize that, people think of strength and they think that, the muscles and the tendons are everything that contribute to that. But this fascia, this connective tissue over all your muscles, there's fascial lines that go from one side of the body to the other as you're doing like rotational movements and things like that. So that's very helpful for your fascia, whether you're doing Tai Chi or swinging a baseball bat. Those kind of like rotational movements or movements where you're sequencing between pushing through your leg and then your core kicks in and then your arms. That's keeping that fascia pliable. And you can think of them as like rubber bands or springs that actually put more pep in your step or more bounce,
it's like
bounce in your movement, resiliency,
Yeah, it's interesting. I've never been to a dissection lab, cadaver dissection, but Tom Myers, anatomy trains, he has those. There are other places too that do other people. When you start to dissect a cadaver and you take the fascia off the outer layer of the muscle, if you get to the top of the calf muscle, like it's your lateral gastroc, it doesn't stop. The fascia keeps going up to another muscle, and pretty soon you've got fascia that is many feet long, and that's just one piece. So it's I think I don't know if it's defined as this, but it's spoken about as the ectoskeleton of muscle. If you didn't have fascia, you'd just be like, your muscles would just like nothing to hold them together. It also helps hold your muscles together so they don't just like fall in, spill into organs and get in the way of organs, right? Mm-hmm. So fascia is very, very important. And myofascial release, you're usually releasing the ectoskeleton, a little knot in an area. That's what we're going after, not deeper, although it could be. I just wanted to say two things. I'm not a salesy guy, but if I have something to offer that I feel might benefit people, I want you to know about it. Of course, if you just go to parkinson'sregenerationtraining.com, you can get the book there, just so you know, it is there. If you want it in Spanish, just send me an email, because Laura is our distributor in Mexico. You can get it in Spanish in Spain, though. You just can't get it in Spanish in Mexico, paperback copy. You can get Kindle in Mexico.
Oh, Karl, you could mention the website associated with the book. You should mention that, because that's a nice bonus.
No, that I don't give that out.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
But there is I'm sorry. I still have some COVID brain going on. There is a support website that goes with the book. Let me just say that. I won't give you the address, but the website, yes, I just misunderstood. I wasn't processing right. There are I won't say hundreds of videos. There's probably not even 100 yet, but it's not too far from 100. And I've been working lately on adding more categories too, because there's a lot more to add. But that'll be a growing resource to support this book and the next one. And so you can see videos of all this stuff, because there's only so much you can say in words, even though it's like 110,000 words in this book. Well, I didn't say enough, but a video can be worth, 10,000 words. The other thing too is, if you're interested in Naboso insoles, I do have them. I think I have like 8 pairs of the Neuros left. If you're in the United States anywhere, even Alaska or Hawaii, and probably Canada too. I just sent some to Canada. The price I have is lower than you'll pay online. And I just trying to pass along a savings, because they're not cheap, but they're worth every penny. So I just offering a special for people who are interested in them. So if you want them, just direct message me. That's all. I don't have anything more to sell. Not today. So now I have about 15 minutes before I need to go. And I don't really have anything in particular that I need to talk about. So if you have stuff you want to do, Russ, go for it. I'm going to leave about 11:30 and head out to see some real people.
Okay, I had one thing I was thinking of.
One other thing. I'm sorry. If you have any questions, anyone, throw them in the comments, and we'll do our best to answer them. Okay.
That's right. Actually, I was going to ask you if there was any comments in there.
Yeah.
What we could do is I could try the music again. We had a problem last time. I don't know if you, it could have been going through your speaker and coming back in, Karl. So I don't know. You may want to try muting when I do this again. But
Yeah.
Let's maybe just do a test of the music.
Battery,
and if it works, I'm going to show you. I had mentioned last time that I have a bunch of different dance moves that relate to human movement, stability, posture, balance, and that type of thing. And a lot of them are tied into like social dance rhythms, ballroom dance rhythms like tango and waltz and stuff like that. So this one is called the waltz balance. But I'm just going to test out the music first, just to see if it comes across. And so this is only going to just be an exercise for a few minutes. It ties into what we were talking about. So you want to try and get that little tripod going. Use a chair for balance because you're going to be balancing on one foot. Here's the song. Might have to adjust the volume. So we're going to do a test now.
All right.
I'll do it for a few seconds, and I'll stop it and come back and ask you if it was okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I stopped it. Sounds okay?
Real good.
Okay, good. Yeah, maybe, I don't know what, I think I had Bluetooth on my my laptop, and I was playing music through there. I played it through my phone, and it worked better. So this is going to be the exercise. Let's do a little routine.
We want people to get up and move, right?
So then if you can be in your bare feet.
Let's move.
I might actually need a little assistance here because my medication is starting to wear off a little bit. But anyway, first we're going to do a side-to-side movement. So you're going to just be mirroring me. So you're going to start with this foot first, which is going to be your right foot. We're going to go this way. The waltz rhythm is 1, 2, 3/4 time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. A lot of the dances I do are 4/4 time, but this one's a little different. But we're actually, and a lot of those steps you do, if you're doing ballroom dancing, you're doing one step for each beat. In this case, with the balance, we're going to do what's called a hesitation step. We're going to step over to the side. That's 1, but 2, 3 is not going to be 2 steps. You're going to be up on this 1 foot for 2, 3. That's your bounce. So it's 1, 2 balance like that. So then 1, 2, 3 the other way. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And on the side, we're going to go forward and backward too, which is a little bit more difficult. Like I said, you could have a chair or some poles. I use walking poles for balance sometimes. We're going to transition to a forward and back step. And what it's going to look like is sometimes a dance teacher teaches with their back to the audience. I'm going to be facing you, so you're actually going to be coming towards me instead of like going with me. So on the side to side, we're going to go in odd numbers. So we'll go with 3 repetitions. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to step forward and back for 4 times. 1, 2, forward and back, 1, 2, forward and back. Starting with this foot, which is your left foot. So you're going to be stepping toward me. You're just going to step forward, lift the foot off the ground a little bit, step backward. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to go 3 more times this way, and we're going to end up on this side. And then we're going to go back and forth with the other foot. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Now this foot is free. So now we get to go forward and back on this foot. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now let me show you a modification. If you don't have a chair or a pole, you could also do this. It's called a kickstand. Where basically, instead of lifting the foot off the air into the air, you're just touching your toe. So you're going to just be going like this, shifting your weight. 1, 2, 3. It's a little easier. I talked about that tripod. So when you get up, it's brief, but try to feel that balance between the tripod right under your big toe and by your pinky and by your heel. And then 1, 2, 3. The forward and back, you're kind of just pushing off. You may not feel the tripod as much. This is the forward and back is kind of good practice for for gait. If you have a little bit of gait dysfunction, you taking nice big steps forward and backward, and walking backwards is also a good exercise. That's a little challenging and something you should try every now and then. So we're going to put on the music and just go along with me. and pick a spot. So I'm going to start on this side. Actually, I'm going to start on this side. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And then the first one will go forward. But I'm going to start on this side. And when you're learning like a line dance and you kind of get lost, don't try to like jump in the middle, kind of like follow the routine and pick a point to jump back in. So maybe you want to just wait till it comes back around and we get to the point where I'm over here and you're starting with the side by sides again. This way you can be prepared. So I might start the dance and you might miss a step. So just try to pick it up where you can. Okay.
That sounds good.
And here we go.
You know, like I was saying earlier, some things just seem so simple and I tend to overcomplicate things, but simple does not always mean easy. So there we go. I have some fun with this.
Make sure I'm connected.
Absolutely. I'm going to run out during this just for a second to get my car started so I can zoom off in a warm car. Plus, my equipment was in there overnight. I forgot to bring it in. So
I'm going to turn this off for a second.
All right.
On.
Battery 80%. Connected to iPhone.
All right. Everybody ready to move?
Hope
Nice
you got
job.
something out of that. Just a note on any kind of agility or balance exercise. Do it for a while and and then take a rest and then try again. And you'll find that you hit a point sometimes where it actually becomes harder because you just your muscles get fatigued, your brain gets fatigued. So if you take a little rest and go back to it, you'll actually find that you're actually better than your best point in your previous bout of doing it. So
Nice
it's
job,
fun
man.
to move to music, so that's why I created this program. One thing, one misconception on this is I call it rhythmic movement and dance. I might give it another name, but I do some things where we actually incorporate just plain old exercises doing them to music as well. And I like to treat the dance movements are relatively simple. So the point I'm getting to is some people just say, I don't like dancing, but everybody likes music. And a lot of people like moving, they like exercise. So just thinking of it as moving to music. A lot of the dance steps aren't super complicated. They take a little agility and practice. But when I teach a full class, I like to try to progress. I start with easier movements, and by the end of the class, people could handle, something a little bit more difficult. But hope you enjoyed that.
That was really good. And I'll be the first one to admit that there's certain things that I used to think were just kind of ridiculous or stupid, let's say. Oh, don't do that. That's ridiculous. And I'll tell you, dancing is one of those things. But that was years ago because I didn't understand the benefits that can come out of it on many, many levels. I also have thought that about Tai Chi because I did Tai Chi and I didn't like doing Tai Chi. But at the time I did Tai Chi, I was in no place to be there and actually enjoy it because I had no understanding. I could not relate.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, if you think about, and maybe it's just that I'm going to be 60, I'm getting older, hopefully wiser, and understanding that things don't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be rocket science because if we just keep moving, and especially doing something we enjoy doing, we're more likely to do something or do the thing. And if dance is, so I've done a complete 180. I'm looking to find my tap dance teacher who was a client
I'd love to learn.
at the university because after this hip replacement, which I was going to get last April, I was going to start tap dance lessons. We were going to trade. I'd train her, she'd train me. And I need to find out if she's in town now with the new semester just starting, a student at the university.
Cool.
I'll train her and she can train me because I want to tap dance. I'm a drummer. Some of the greatest drummers were also tap dancers. And I want to get good at it and do some cool stuff. To me, cool stuff, just rhythmic stuff and moving. And it's a workout. It's great. Doesn't have to be complicated though.
And if you happen to have somebody right now is not a good time to mention this because of COVID, but if you do have somebody that you could partner with or you're interested in ballroom dancing, that actually adds another component of brain work. Because to do social dancing partner, you have to react to your partner. You have to if you're a leader, you have to make your partner move. You also have to react to other people on the dance floor. So it's actually like you're running an obstacle course. When I'm out there with my wife dancing, you got to make sure you're not like stepping on other people's feet. You have to look out for the crazy show-offs who are like going to go flying around the floor, cutting you off. So it's actually social dancing is actually a reactive sport. Also, some people are into line dancing, and if you go somewhere that teaches line dancing, that is great brain work. I was never into line dancing, but the ballroom dance socials we go to, they usually do like 1 to 3 line dances per social. And only certain people get out there and do it. And some people are like, I don't like that. But I love it for my brain because I get out there and if it's something completely new, I'm totally lost in the beginning of the dance. And then my brain starts working and it says, how can I get some success here? Okay, the first thing I could do is learn the first couple of steps in the sequence, try to go from step number 1 to step number 2, and say there's a sequence of five or six different steps in the line dance. So you just kind of like whittle away, and you learn like where the beginning of the dance is. So I got a couple right, and then the rest I was kind of like fighting, and then like, okay, I'm back to the beginning again. Okay, I got step 1 and 2 good. Now I'm going to add in 3. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the dance, I'm almost doing it, maybe not perfect, but like the next week, when I try it again, I'm just about there, and it's tremendous brain work, because you have to dynamically watch somebody else move, interpret it, react to the music. Your feet got to move in time with the music. It's really good. And the things you mentioned, like Tai Chi and dance and stuff, they also tie into that mindfulness, and also another cool component of movement that you should add in. People talk about the Parkinson's moving big and moving fast to counteract the slowness of movement, and have bigger amplitude in your movement because your movements get small. But also slow movement is good too, because it makes you be more body aware. And then when I was talking about that foot to core sequencing, you realizing how your core works together with the rest of your body. There's certain movements, maybe I'll go over it another time, but there's certain movements you do. We could do a couple of movements where you're moving quickly and see how it feels. And then we'll do real slow. And all of a sudden you realize, how much your core plays a role in movement.
Absolutely. There's so many things that are easier to do fast than slow, like in drumming. I remember one of the greatest lessons I had when I was very young. I was showing this guy, right? He says, "Great, that's fantastic, Karl. Now, can you do it slow?" No, I couldn't do it slow. Yeah, so actually I need to run off in a minute, and I got my car warming up, get over and see some real human beings to work with them. So awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. First of all, I appreciate you and all you do.
Same here.
You really brought up some great stuff today. I think we settled on Wednesday or Monday at 10 a.m. for episode 3.
Yeah.
All right, so Monday the 15th, 10 a.m., folks, episode 3. And of course, this is being recorded, so it'll be up on YouTube later today. And I'll post the link to the playlist today, too.
But and you got to see me with my glasses on the whole time. I was making a comment to Karl that the first session, I said I have to remember to wear my glasses, because my glasses were off. And I didn't realize, I always used to do this when my glasses were off. I didn't need glasses much. I squint. So I had for like the first 10 minutes or so of the first session we had, I was making this face like I was imitating a gopher. It was like, oh man, that looks awful. I got to remember to keep my glasses on.
No problem.
Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Laura, Kabugo, there's so many people who are here. Thank you very much for watching.
For attending.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Russ, and we'll see you all soon. Hopefully Monday, 10 a.m. Monday, Eastern Time, episode 3.
I'll be there.
Over and out, folks. Bye-bye.